Good afternoon, everybody. My dear students, all the dignified officers who are working in the sector of higher education, and my dear friends, today we are to take a class on higher education, aims and objectives, and the basic idea of higher education of India. Friends, this is very much critical time for all of us because the whole global society has been fighting with the epidemic and most of the lives have already been lost. All the universities of the globe have been closed. All the colleges are closed. Students are sitting at home, maintaining the principle of social distancing. You are also working at your own place, and we cannot sit, you see, without any work. At this critical juncture, we are to help our students, and we must have to exchange our views each other so that properly we can help the system of education continue without any disruption. Friends, today's class is on higher education, aims and objectives, and the basic idea. And in this class, this chapter or this unit has been categorized in some small category or in some small points. And the first one is how we are to define higher education and what is its perspective. Means the perspective of higher education of India we are to discuss. At the same time, we are to define higher education. The next point, which is very much important for all of you, is who made Indian education system that is to be known to you. And then we are to come to the third point, that is who introduced higher education in India. This is also very much important. And then total number of universities and colleges. We are to know it. By searching internet, we can have the data. Still, for discussing the present system of higher education of the country, we must have an idea of the universities, the number of universities, as well as the colleges which are imparting higher education to the stakeholders. Therefore, we must have to know something about who is the father of Indian higher education. Means we have to know the name of the father of Indian higher education, particularly the modern higher education of the country. And we have to discuss thenceforth the important problems which are being linked with the system of higher education of the country, the constitutional objectives and the constitutional directives concerning to the higher education of India we are to discuss. And thenceforth we are to discuss about the objectives of higher education as per the Constitution of India. We are to discuss the role of higher educational institution in today's India, particularly at this critical moment. And we are to discuss about the importance of higher education in today's globalized world order. We are to discuss the benefits of higher education which the stakeholders have been getting. And we are to discuss about the problems of higher education. And we are to come to know about the vision of the National Policy on Education 2019, that is the new education policy of 2019, and the objectives which are being formulated or which are prescribed in the National Policy on Education 2019, particularly in the draft policy, and the specific 5 pillars. About the 5 pillars, we are to be so much concerned because we are to know very much well about the objectives of higher education of the country in the current social situation, and we are to briefly discuss or place before you people about the particular functioning of higher education of the country. Friends, for discussing the most important idea of higher education or to give the answer or to define higher education, we must have to have an idea about the educational ladder of the country. Once we say as educational ladder, we means the educational tree of the country. And here, as we are discussing about higher education of India, we must have to have an idea about the total system of higher education of India. Friends, once we see the world scenario, then we see that Indian higher education system is the third largest in the world with total population of 135.26 crores. It is next to the United States of America, and you know it very much well that the total population of the United States of America at present is 32.82 crores. And in the third place, we have to know about China with a total population of 139.27 crores. These are the situation, and Indian higher education system is the third largest in the world next to the United States and then sport China. So friends, we are a huge country with total population of 135.26 crores, and our system has been offering services to the needy stakeholders for the development of their human excellence and attributes so that they can take part in the process of social transformation and economic sense of the country. Now the question is, what is higher education? And to give the answer of this question, we must have to have an idea about the total system of formal education. And once we see the hierarchy of the formal system of education of the country, we see that in the base level, there is the primary education. Means primary education is for 5 years, and it begins as per the constitution or according to the constitution or the set rule of the constitution, the fixed age of the constitution of India. Primary education begins at the age group of class 6, and it continues for 5 years, means class 1, class 2, class 3, class 4 and class 5. So for primary education, our students are to spend for at least from 6 to 11, they are to spend 5 years time for having primary education. And the basic concern of primary education is to impart the knowledges of 3 years. 3 arts means our students are to know the art of reading, they are to know the art of writing, and they are to have the knowledge of calculation. So primary education is the base of the total system of formal education of the country. And thenceforth, going to the second part, we know about secondary education, which is also for 5 years, means class 6, class 7, class 8, class 9 and class 10. These are the 5 years. And for secondary education, actually our students are to spend their age time or lifetime from 11 years to 17 years. They are to remain in the secondary level of education, from 11 to 17 years. And then the third, most important part of the total system of formal education of the country is, higher secondary education. And in our state, particularly in Assam, for higher secondary education, our students are to spend 2 years. Our students are to spend 2 years for higher secondary education. And in the higher secondary level, 2 parts we see. First year and higher secondary first year and higher secondary second year. For higher secondary first year, 1 year students are to continue their study, and for higher secondary second year courses, they are to spend again another 1 year for the completion of their course contents. And thenceforth, higher education, we get the stage of higher education, and it is just after the secondary education, just after the higher secondary education. And higher secondary education is the level where the students are to make themselves ready for the future course of their study. They are to prepare their base. They are to make themselves ready so that they can enter into the sector of higher education. They can prepare themselves for the next level of higher education, and they can select or they can choose their specialization or the area of specialization. And friends, once we say about higher education, then we must have to say that higher education is the post-secondary, means education which are being imparted in the post-secondary institutions of learning. Post-secondary institutions of learning, after the completion of higher secondary education, collegiate education or higher education starts or begin, and that's why higher education is given in post-secondary institutions of learning, and usually affording at the end of a course of study A named degree, diploma or certificate of higher studies is higher education. If we are to define it for your clarification, I just have to say that any of various types of education given in post-secondary institutions of learning and usually affording at the end of a course of study a named degree, diploma or certificate of higher studies is higher education. So higher education is that part of education or that phase of education which basically begins just after the completion of higher secondary education, and the basic concern of higher education is to impart special education so that students can get the opportunity to develop their inborn attributes and they can make themselves excellent human resources for the transformation of their own life as well as for the change of social situation and for the change of the total economy of the country, as well as they can contribute to the uplift of the global economic scenario. Now the question comes, first, whenever we are discussing about the modern higher education system of India, who made Indian education system, then we must have to go back to the British regime or British rule, and we certainly know the name of Macaulay, Macaulay, Lord Macaulay. Macaulay introduced English education in India, especially through his famous Unit of 1835. If we study the Unit of Lord Macaulay of 1835, we see that Macaulay, began this, or he started the process of imparting English education in this country. And from Macaulay's time, since the time of 1835, Indian higher education basically, started. And he called for an education, Macaulay called for an education system that would create a class of Anglicized Indians who would serve as cultural intermediaries between the British and the Indians. Macaulay's unit was, we remember, at the time of explaining the objectives of education, Macaulay said, and before you I like to quote, we want to create a class of people Indian in blood and color, but British in moral, British in taste, and British in excellence. British in taste, Britishers, they tried, particularly Macaulay, tried to Anglicize Indian system of education, higher education, and his basic concern was to impart education with the help of English, through the medium of English, and he wanted to impart education relating to the specialities of the British people, and that's why with the help of the system of education he wanted to westernize the Indian system of higher education. So Macaulay is the father in a sense, or he introduced higher education in India. Next time, if we put a question, who introduced higher education in India again, then we must have to say that Thomas Babington Macaulay. His full name is Thomas Babington Macaulay, ThomasBabington Macaulay. Thomas Babington Macaulay's famous controversial unit of education of 1835. We must have to go back to have the idea of India's British higher educational process or higher educational system, and thenceforth British Macaulay, with the help of his great controversial unit of 1835, reflected the growing support of a Western approach to knowledge over an Oriental one. Soon after, in 1857, as per the suggestion of the Despots of 1854, after Macaulay, we come to know about the Despots of 1854. It was Charles Wood who suggested for the establishment of universities in India. And according to the recommendation of the Despots of 1854, means Wood Despots, 3 major universities in 3 prime cities of India were established first in modern India, in British India, and these 3 universities were Calcutta University. During that time it was Calcutta University, now it is Kolkata, and Bombay University. During that time it was Bombay University. Now it is Mumbai, and during that time it is Madras University. Now it is Sendai University. So these were the three universities which were being established as per the recommendation of the despots of 1854. And with these despots, the name of William Searles do have close linkage, and would actually wanted to spread education, being to some extent generous for the uplift of the Indian social system as well as the system of economy of the country. Then now you see, if we come to the present situation, from 1857 when three major universities were being established in Bombay, then Calcutta and Madras, during that time Bombay, now Mumbai, during that time Calcutta, now it is Calcutta, and during that time it was Madras, now it is Sendai. From these three universities of 1857, if we come back to know about the present situation, we know that at present, as per the UGC report or UGC data of 2020, we do have 935 universities. 935 universities, 935 universities in India, and out of these 935 universities, there are 409 state universities and 349 private universities and 50 central universities and 127 deemed to be universities which are working for the spread of higher education to the stakeholders with the population of 135.26 crore. So friends, we do have now 935 universities, and the establishment of university in the modern Indian situation started or began according to the suggestion or recommendation of the despots of 1854. That is which despots? It happened, these despots came just after the Macaulay unit of 1835. And we do have, as per the data of 2017, we do have 37,204 colleges and 11,443 stand-alone institutions in India which are working for the spread of higher education to the masses, for the transformation of Indian society with the help of development of requisite manpower or human resources, so that they can contribute or take part in the process of social transformation, and at the same time they can contribute to the growth of economy of the country. So for your good, you see, so that you can easily memorize, I suggest them to repeat, though it is not good to repeat again and again, still for your good being, for your good learning, I suggest them to repeat as per the UGC available UGC data. We do have, means during 2020, India has 935 universities working for the spread of higher education to the masses, particularly to the population of 135.26 crore. And out of these 350 universities, we have 409 state universities, 349 private universities, 50 central universities, and 127 deemed to be universities. And you see, in these 935, there are 14 open universities which are also working for the spread of higher education, who couldn't have the chance to get higher education because of different problems of their life. Now friends, if we put a question at this time, means at this moment of our discussion, who is the father of education in India, means who is the father of education in modern India, then we must have to again repeat the name of Thomas Babington Macaulay, who is the most obvious candidate for father of Indian education. Now let us talk about some of the issues related to the problems of higher education in India. What are the problems which are there in the field of higher education? Though we have more than 935 universities and 37,204 colleges as per the data of 2017. What are the problems for which up till now India has failed to, compete with the developed nations of the world from the perspective of social development and from the parameter of economic uplift, as well as you see excellence of human excellence in social order, then we must have to say the quality of teaching quality is not so much good in most of the universities and as well as colleges. So friends, sorry to speak this way, that the prime concern of higher education, whenever we see that particularly teaching is one of the basic objectives of higher education. Means all the teachers who are working in this sector of higher education, they are to teach the students so that they can have the idea of the modern of world, and they can have the idea of all the changed parameters of knowledge, and thenceforth they are to learn. Means learning is one of the important parameters of higher education. Means our teachers, you who are working in the sector of higher education, are to help our students so that they can get all modern knowledge for the transformation, for the uplift of their own life, as well as so that they get ready to take part in the process of economic development of the country. At the same time, they can share their roles for the transformation of total social system as well as economic transformation of India. Friends, teaching quality, the quality concern is one of the most important concern, where there are so many problems are there in the sector of higher education of the country. And thenceforth, the second most important problem which is there in the sector of higher education is financing. Finance is a very difficult problem, because higher education social return from the sector of higher education is not much more good, not much more huge in comparison to the social return of the sector of primary education. And that's why government has been paying special attention towards the sector of primary education, because from the sector of primary education, social return, the volume of social return is very high in comparison to the social return which India gets from primary education. In comparison to this, from higher education, you see the volume of social return is not so much, so much good. And that's why financing is one of the important problem which is to be well attended for the transformation of Indian higher education system, for the development of Indian social situation, as well as for the prosperity of Indian economy, and to help India become one of the global leaders amidst the, or in the club of nations, or in the nations club of nations, means advanced nations of the world. Privatization is also one of the problem, because once the question of privatization comes, then automatically high price, the issue of paying high fees, or so many issues are there linked with privatization. So privatization is also a problem, because still there is poverty in India, and the percentage, the gross enrollment ratio of higher education and in other level of education is not so much sound. So privatization is one important problem. Then quota system is also one of the important problem, which is to be well attended and which has the utmost necessity of broad discussion. Thenceforth, political factor is very much important in the national policy of 1986. Up till now, we have had 3 national policies. One is the policy of 1968, just after the suggestion or recommendation of the Qatari Commission of 1964 and 66. We got the 1968 first educational national policy, and thenceforth we had the national policy in 1986. During that time, India's Prime Minister was late Rajiv Gandhi, and during his time, the second national policy from the side of the government of India was formulated, and we got it in 1986. And just after 1986, in 1992, there was the revision of the national policy on education, and presently we had the national policy on education 2019, particularly the draft policy. So friends, political factor is one of the important factor which is there in the higher educational sector, and this needs special attention so that we can help Indian higher education system functions for the benefit of the stakeholders, so that with the help of the capabilities of the stakeholders, we can bring changes towards the total social system, as well as India's contribution towards the growth of global economy becomes so much rich. And then after, moral issues do have also special importance. And once we discuss about moral issues, so many factors we will see, and that's why moral issue is one of the most important issue with which so many problems are being linked. Gap in supply and demand, that is also one of the important issues. Gap in supply and demand. You see, gap in supply and demand. Unemployment problem is very much difficult in India because people are saying, sorry to speak or sorry to place before you, that most of the products of the system of higher education in India, they are not employable. So employability, you see, do not have in case of the stakeholders who are coming out from the sector of higher education. So there is gap of supply and demand of human resources. India needs huge human expertise in different fields, but we do not have so much expertise in India, which the system of higher education has failed to produce for the transformation of the total social system. So this is one of the important problem which are to be well attended by you people, by me, by all the officers, by the state governments, by the central government, means all of we, which there should be combined fight from all corners to, you see, solve this problem of supply and demand. You see, merging the gap of supply and demand. Then sport, mushrooming of low quality institutes is one of the most important, you see, one of the most important problems of higher education of India. Mushrooming of low quality institutes. So many institutes are coming up in private sector as well as in public sector also. Banks and colleges are there. So many institutes are there where the quality parameter has not well been preserved, and that's why you see problems are there in the sector of higher education. Now you see, forgetting about all these problems, because we are to well attend all the problems so that we can help Indian higher education function in proper manner. If we come to the, or if we come back to discuss about the constitutional objectives, means the Constitution of India and objectives of education in India, then we see that in the Constitution of India, it has well been suggested, prescribed that the first one is strengthened ethical and spiritual values. Constitution has put importance, or it has emphasized on the strengthening of ethical and spiritual values. So friends, dignified listeners, all the honorable officers, we are to help to strengthen ethical and spiritual values, and we are to impart proper education to our stakeholders, to our young students who are the future of our country, so that they can take part in strengthening the social order of India, and they can help to uplift the social values by following in their own life. Develop moral character and personal discipline. Moral character has special importance, and personal discipline has also special importance. At this critical juncture of COVID-19, attack of COVID-19, we have seen the government has declared lockdown. Second phase lockdown is continuing. But in most of the major cities, we have seen, you see, indiscipline. People are not, you see, paying proper attention towards the declaration of the government. Government has been declaring lockdown so that they can save life. Saving life has become the utmost, you see, demand of this critical juncture of human civilization. So friends, Constitution has emphasized on the development of moral character of every Indian citizen, and then sport, Constitution has put importance on the uplift of, or on the enhancement of personal discipline of every citizen of the country. Then the third parameter, which is one of the important parameters, one of the important objectives which has been specially shortlisted by the Constitution, is encourage critical and creative thinking. Critical and creative thinking. Creativity is a must, and it's not so much easy to be creative. You see, to be creative, there is the significance or importance of the knowledge of research. And that's why researching means the extension of higher education, benefit of higher education to the masses has special importance in the sector of higher education. And that's why teaching, learning and extension of knowledge. For the extension of knowledge, there is the need of creative thinking. And without creative thinking, people cannot take part in the process of social transformation. People cannot contribute own share for the development of economy of own nation. People cannot take part in the process of stabilization of the global social order. So friends, Constitution Constitution of India put importance on the encouragement of critical and creative thinking through higher education. Then the Constitution of India, if we come back to the next one, we see that the Constitution emphasized on broadening scientific and technological knowledge and promoting vocational efficiency. Broadening scientific and technological knowledge and promoting vocational efficiency. So that was one of the important, obligation, one of the important objectives which is being shortlisted in the Constitution of India. And coming back with the following are the objectives of higher education, and keeping in mind about all these objectives which are being well defined by the Constitution, we see that if we are to define, if we are to shortlist the objectives of higher education, then we must have to say that higher education should give both knowledge and wisdom. The prime role at this critical juncture of human civilization, at this critical moment of human existence, the prime concern of higher education should impart knowledge and wisdom. Higher education must create such an environment with the help of which higher education system will be able to impart requisite knowledge as per the demand of change time, as per the demand of change challenges of life. And wisdom has also utmost importance. Wisdom has also utmost importance, and we people are to put importance on imparting proper knowledge to the stakeholders and enhancing the level of their wisdom. Thenceforth, what the higher education is to do at this critical moment of human civilization, educational system of the country must find its guiding principle in the aims of the social order. I just am to repeat it, educational system must find its guiding principle in the aims of the social order. And third, what higher education at this present moment, what higher education is to do, what roles you are to play as the teachers, means assistant professors and lecturers, as well as educational officers or officers of special duty or officers on special assignment. What we people are to do, we are to help the system of higher education, system of higher education, help our students or make our students ready so that they can take part in the process of social transformation as per the demand of change time of the global situation. And that's what this one is the third most important function which is to be played by the system of higher education of the country is it should inculcate democratic idealism among the learners. Means India is a huge democracy with total population of 135.26 crore. So India is a vibrant democracy, it's a dynamic democracy. So for the transformation of democratic culture of India, for the good health of the democracy of India, higher education is to inculcate democratic idealism among the learners. Means it's our primary role to help our students learn about all the democratic cultures, all the democratic values, so that they can take part in the process of making Indian democracy quite vibrant and dynamic, means for the good health of Indian democracy. So friends, if we ask you or if we ask a question each other about the role of educational institution in today's India, what are the roles of educational institution in today's critical India or in this critical juncture of human civilization, we must have to say that higher education can be seen as a focal point of development of knowledge. Means development of knowledge has special importance, and it's our prime concern for the development of knowledge as per the demand of change time, as per the demand of change challenges of human life and civilization. Then second one is application of developed knowledge. Only developing knowledge cannot help a nation prosper, transform its economy or change its social system if the developed knowledge is not being utilized. So friends, application of developed knowledge is one of the focal point towards which we people who are working in the sector of higher education must be very much conscious. And then number 3, which is to be done with the help of the present system of higher education, is fostering innovation and increasing higher skill for economic growth and development. Higher skills are to develop with the help of the higher educational institutions so that they can take part in the process of transforming economy, means in the process of economic growth as well as development of society. And higher education, friends, gives a person an opportunity to succeed in today's global economy. Means in global economy, for success, many things we require. Our students require so many good qualities. They need so many good skills. They need so many good excellence. And it's the prime concern of the system of higher education, with the help of which we are to help our students to get all, necessary knowledge so that they can take part in proper way. They can take part in necessary way for the transformation of social life, uplift of economy, and total sense in the social situation. And thenceforth, if we come back to the present situation and we see the vision of the national policy of education 2019, then the policy has, you can check it or search it in the net. The policy has put importance. The national policy of 2019 envisions an Indian-centered education system that contributes directly to transforming our nation sustainably. Means our nation is to sustain, and for this, education is to be India-centered. So the national policy of 2019, particularly the draft policy, envisions an India-centered education system that contributes directly to transforming our national sustainability. Once we say the term sustain, what does it mean? It means maintain, it means continue, it means carry on. This sustainability is to be carried on with the help of higher education. Thenceforth, into an equitable and vibrant knowledge society by providing high quality education to all. This is the vision. I just am to repeat it again. India-centered education system that contributes directly to transforming our national sustainability and vibrant knowledge society by providing high-quality education to all. Means it's our duty at this critical juncture of human civilization to impart high-quality education to our students, to the stakeholders, so that they can contribute as per the demand of change situation of the globe, for the change of total social system, with the change of economy of the country, as well as they can contribute towards the uplift of the global social situation or system. Friends, what are the objectives of the national policy according to the national policy of education of 2019? If this is means we are to make our education system or higher education India-centric. Why India-centric? Again, at this point, we must have to go back to Lord Macaulay, who is called or who is regarded as the Thomas Babington Macaulay, who is regarded as the father of modern Indian higher education system. Why this is? Why we need India-centric higher education? Macaulay said during the time, Britishers defined during that time, we want to create a class of people Indian in blood and color, but British in taste, British in moral, and British in intellect. And now we are to change it. We want to create a class of people Indian in blood and color, Indian in taste, Indian in customs and traditions, everything else. Means Britishers said class of people Indian in British in taste, Indian in blood and color, but British in taste, British in moral, and British in intellect. We need Indian in blood and color, Indian in taste, Indian in moral, and Indian in intellect. Means intellectuality of the students are to develop according to the need of the nation. Moral values are to be developed as per the demand of Indian nationality. So we are to be Indian in real sense, so that transforming Indian economy, transforming Indian society, we can play our role according to the demand of the change time. Friends, then what higher education do? What are the roles? We are the people who are in the system, and we must have to have an idea about the role. What higher education do? If we put this question, then we must have to give the answer of this question this way, that higher education is a critical contributor to sustainable livelihoods and economic development of the nation. This is first. Higher education is a critical contributor to sustainable livelihoods and economic development of the nation. Do it second. Number two is higher education also plays a large and equally important role in improving human well-being and developing. The third role in the present situation or in the diversified world order is India as envisions in the constitution a democratic, just, socially conscious, self-aware, cultured and human nation with liberty, equality, fraternal spirit and justice for all. Higher education aims to serve as a hub for developing ideas and innovations that enlighten individuals and help propel the country forward socially, culturally, artistically, scientifically, technologically and economically. So friends, our country is to forward socially. It is to be uplifted socially. It is to be advanced culturally. Means cultural situation of the country is to be uplifted. It is to be advanced artistically. The artistic scenario of the country is to be changed. It is to be forward scientifically. The scientific situation is to be changed. It is to be advanced or forward technologically. So technological parameter is to be changed, transformed, and it is to be forward economically. So friends, forward socially, culturally, artistically, scientifically, technologically and economically. These are the prime concern, and we people who are there in the sector of higher education must have to have an idea about all these important sayings so that we can make India one of the leader nations in the club of nations. Dear friends, dignified officers, I am coming to the last part of this lecture concerning to the aims and objectives as well as problems of higher education, because the time is very much short, so we cannot discuss everything else in this class. Today the prime concepts or prime concerns of the sector of higher education have been placed before you so that you can consider yourself what roles you are to play at this critical juncture of human civilization, being the persons or the activists or being the professors, assistant professors, lecturers, educational officers and officers of special duties in different sectors. What roles you people are to play? We are to fight, you see, being united, and you see the most important pillars which are being well shortlisted in the National Policy on Education 2019 are: number one, access. Access is one of the important parameters towards which we are to pay special attention. Access means right of entry of the students, right to use or admittance, because we do have huge number of population of 135.26 crore. So access is to be increased. Special attention towards the access or entry of higher education is to be specially considered. Equity is one of the important parameters towards which we are to be very much sincere so that we can bring total changes towards the social situation of India, as well as we can help to transform our economy as per the demand of social situation, and we can take part in the total sense of the global situation of the nations or of the club of nations. So equity has special importance, and the meaning of equity is justice, fairness, impartiality, even-handedness. We are to do justice towards our students, towards towards all those young people who are expecting to have the opportunity of or opportunities of higher education. Thus, affordability is one of the important pillars of higher education. Means higher education should be affordable for all categories of people of these 135.26 crore. And affordability, once we are to know the meaning of the term affordability, we must have to have an idea of the term affordable. It means reasonable, it means reasonably, it means reasonably priced, it means inexpensive, it means within our means. Higher education should not be much more expensive. Once it gets expensive, the aspirants for higher education will not be able to manage to enter into the sector of higher education. And thenceforth, the fourth important parameter according to the National Policy on Education 2019 is quality. The question of quality is very much important, because we always say that we do have the dearth or we do have the demand of quality manpower or man force or workforce. So quality parameter is hopelessly lost in the field of higher education, in the sector of higher education. So friends, enhancing quality or paying special attention towards the quality parameter is or has been getting the prime concern of all teachers, all officers who are engaged in this sector of higher education. And then fifth most important parameter according to the or as per the specification of Indian National Policy of Education 2019 is accountability. And this is one of the important parameter. You see, accountability. We are accountable towards the society because the nation has been paying us. The nation has been supporting us, and that's why we are to support our society. We are to support our nation. We are to be answerable. Why the quality parameter has been lost? Why the quality parameter has not been has failed to be well? Failed to achieve the good point of good health. We are to give the answer, and that's why accountability towards the accountability parameter we are to be much more concerned. Friends, if we see why the access is important, if we see the gross enrollment ratio in the sector of higher education, then we see that in the sector of higher education, Indian higher education, as per the data available in 2015, the gross enrollment ratio in the sector of higher education was 24.5%. So it is the gross enrollment ratio, GER, we say in a short form, GER in 2015 is only 24.5%. During 2015 and 2016, the gross enrollment ratio has changed a little bit, and it is only 25.2%. And since or in 2016 and 2017 also, the gross enrollment ratio or GER in the sector of higher education is only 25.2%. So friends, only approximately 26% people or citizen out of the total population of 135 crore, 135.26 crore, they do have the opportunity to enter into the sector of higher education. And according to the suggestion of the or according to the saying of the National Policy on Education 2019, we are to increase the GER gross enrollment ratio to at least 50% by 2035. Presently it is 25.2%, and the access level is to be uplifted, and the gross enrollment ratio GER in the sector of higher education is to be brought to the level of 50% in 2035 if we are to help India become one of the global leaders amidst the club of nations of the world. Friends, these are the 5 parameters. Access has special importance. We are to increase the access. We are to increase the GER or gross enrollment ratio from 25.2% to at least 50% in 2035 for helping India become one of the global leaders. And then sport equity is to be well considered. There should be justice or fairness from all sides. Now you are in social isolation, you are in distance, you are in lockdown situation, so it's your moral duty to help your students from your own residence. Where you are staying, that does not matter. The matter is how you are functioning, how you are contributing. You do have enough time now for paying your attention to spend your time in creative writing. So friends, be fair, be constructive, and pay your time or spend your time in creative writing so that you can help help to contribute in nice manner in this critical juncture. Access, equity, affordability, quality and accountability. These are the 5 parameters towards which we are to pay special attention. Friends, this is a critical juncture of time, and at this time science has also in a sense failed to impart proper services towards the humanity. The humanity or nations of the world are fighting so that the vaccine of COVID-19 for fighting the disease, the fatal disease, vaccine, the process of inventing or discovering or bringing to light, bringing to practical field the vaccine. You see the process, strivings are going on amidst the nations. So it's our duty to be quite mindful towards our duty, towards our responsibility, so that being responsible persons in the sector of higher education, we can help our students in nice manner, as well as we can contribute for the uplift of the creative sector, creative knowledge parameter of our society. So this much is, you see, for today. I will discuss in later stage about the present scenario or the present demand of higher education, and I will discuss in details for your good knowledge all the 5 parameters, that is access, equity, affordability, quality and accountability, which are the most important pillars towards which we are to be quite mindful and sincere and paying attention towards all these 5 parameters which are being shortlisted in nice manner in the National Policy on Education 2019. We can help India become one of the global leaders, and it's our prime concern, it's our prime duty. We must have to have the idea of imparting innovative knowledge to our young Indian citizen, so that India is in the hands of all the young citizens who are there in the sector of higher education. They are to make India a developed nation, an advanced nation, a leader nation. Thank you so much.